Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Bruce here, traveling with Bruce. Welcome to my channel. Today I've got three different things I want to talk to you about today. Some of this is my personal opinion, so get ready. If you don't like it, watch out. Here we go. We're going to talk about the ship in Singapore. We're going to talk about Virgin Voyages. We're going to talk about what's happening in some of the ports around the world. Thank you again, all of you who are supporting Traveling with Bruce here out of Creston, British Columbia. Thank you for subscribing to my channel and making donations to my PayPal link, which is down below. I appreciate it very much. Also, anyone making a donation of $10 US or more, I will send you one of these in the mail no matter where you live on this beautiful planet of ours. Traveling with Bruce, Creston Postcard from beautiful Creston, British Columbia. And those of you who become sponsor members of this channel, I thank you. Join me Mondays and Fridays for exclusive live sponsor member hangout shows every week. We have trivia on Fridays. We have a lot of fun. Thank you, all of you. Let's start it off from Singapore. Yesterday, worldwide media was completely captivated by the story that was developing out of Singapore, the Quantum of the Seas from Royal Caribbean. The ship was on a 4-day sailing to nowhere. Media loves that. And on the third day, an 83-year-old gentleman went to the medical center complaining of intestinal problems and wasn't feeling well. They ran an onboard COVID test on him, and it turned up positive. The medical people alerted the captain, and according to the health protocols that are instituted here, the ship had to turn around immediately, put everyone in their cabins on a mandatory lockdown, so all passengers and non-essential crew were immediately put into their rooms, kept there, and the ship worked its way back to Singapore in the evening. The gentleman was taken off the ship to the hospital where he was being treated, and they ran additional testing on him, and one of the different tests they ran there was a much more thorough COVID-19 test, and you guessed it, it came up negative, and they waited 6 hours and did another test, negative, did another test a while later, negative, and all passengers have been released from the ship. They are, however, to still be tested in 14 days just in case at the expense of Royal Caribbean. The next cruise for this ship has been canceled, so the ship will likely be docked in Singapore for another 3 days or so before they can go on their next sailing. This is one of those, wow, false alarm, but talk about having a holiday on eggshells. How would you like to be a passenger on a cruise ship anywhere in the world where you and 2,000, 3,000 other people have paid big money to fly and work your way to your cruise ship, take your dream holiday, or you're probably going to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 per person for at least a 1-week trip like this, and at any moment in time, one person comes down with a positive test result, your vacation is over. You're locked down, and now you've got to go back to home port. I'm showing you photos here of various islands in the Caribbean because I wanted to kind of highlight this, that, these places down here, we love to go here because of how isolated they are, but that is also the problem. When you have a couple of ships a day coming into these places with 4,000, 6,000, 7,000 passengers, you bring on board an island like this a number of possible COVID cases or exposures to the local population. You are freaking these people out. There are islands in the Caribbean right now that do not want anything to do with cruise ships as much as they want the money. Believe me, they want the money, but they don't want the headaches. And what I'm beginning to notice from some of the marketing campaigns from some of these cruise lines, they're putting their toe in the water and they're beginning to talk about offering compensation to passengers if there are positive cases on board the ship. I still maintain the way to go here is, if you really want to protect the islands and you want to protect the passengers on these cruise ships and all the residents, what you do is you build into the price of a cruise the healthcare insurance evac insurance, COVID coverage, no deductible, covered A to Z every way to Sunday. And that way you can prove to these Caribbean island nations and any other country in the world that you want to sail to that if there's an issue, money will not be the problem because insurance has been bought in advance. And with the cruise lines, I keep saying it, they have buying power that you and I will never have. You can imagine going to an insurance company and offering maybe 10 insurance companies the opportunity to sell you a policy for 2,000 people per cruise or more. Can you imagine how competitive the quotes will be from the insurance companies to these cruise lines? And the cruise lines can turn around and divide the cost into the 2,000 or 3,000 passengers per trip, and we'd get a bargain. Places like this right here, the Bahamas, this is Paradise. This is the Paradise Island, and that's Atlantis there, the beautiful area. You can walk around. Same thing. They've got the world-class resorts to appeal to us. This is what they use to get us to come. But you gotta have the on-island medical facilities in case of a medical need. And I'm afraid to say that the old days are over where, oh wow, the worst thing that could have happened to us is maybe an appendicitis problem or we twisted our ankle. Now we have a new threat, and that is a virus that could potentially cause severe damage or even death to the recipient and or people who are in contact with the person. This is something new, and it's not going to go away for a long, long time. The threat will always be there. But let's hope going forward long term that a solution will be found to this problem. I have to commend the Royal Caribbean people, the folks in the Singapore area. They did it right. They reacted immediately to a positive case. Their protocols kicked right in. They went right to work, and the 83-year-old person is going to be all right. Back in hospital in Singapore, sure, will be okay. But this just goes to show you that there are a lot of cruisers out there and a lot of cruise lines and countries that are on an eggshell kind of alert system regarding any hint of an issue with regard to the virus. And I'm afraid it's going to be with us for a while, and it could prove inconvenient for thousands of passengers down the line if it ever happens on one of the cruises that you're on. God forbid it does. All right, well, that's story number one. Story number two, I'm going to talk to you about Virgin Voyages. Virgin Voyages has been trying to get going since last, back in March, April of this year, 2020, to no avail. The Scarlet Lady was all ready to roll and bring on her first passengers early this year. They did a little press event in Dover. They were going to do a press event in New York, Miami. There was a whole bunch of stuff that was going to be set up here for the ship, and nothing came of it because the virus took over and everything got stopped dead in its tracks. Sir Richard Branson, you see right here, raised a lot of cash and has a lot of bank backing to bring out this new cruise line. They've launched the Scarlet Lady. Now they're bringing out the Valiant Lady, although that ship is delayed until, from what you hear now, from May 2021 to November 21. And the first sailing they're going to try is May the 9th for the Scarlet Lady for the Caribbean, and then the Valiant Lady starting November, also in the Caribbean. The cruise line had planned to have one ship in Europe, one ship in the Caribbean, but they've decided both will start sailing in the Caribbean first, and then the spring and summer of 2022, the Valiant Lady will be transferred over to Europe. Now, the cruise line had ordered a total of 4 ships, if I recall, and I have not heard number 3 or number 4 delayed. So won't surprise me if they go right ahead and produce 4 ships in total and announce their plans in 23, 24 going forward. We'll see what happens. But hopefully this will all happen. This will all work out. The cruise line, like I said, is appealing to adults only, 18 and older, and they're looking for the millennials, and that's who they're marketing to. And so if you're 65 and older like me, you've probably not noticed any advertising coming your way, because they're not after us. We're not the target market they're looking for. They're looking for the probably the 30 and up crowd. A lot of the 40 to 50-year-olds, they're really after them. they just became empty nesters, perhaps, or their kids are all grown up and they don't want to hang out with mom and dad. So mom and dad are going to go on a cruise that's a little more activity-oriented, and we'll see how it works out. Hopefully the cruise line will find its niche and do very, very well. Something tells me they'll slowly but surely build a following, and they'll have a loyal crowd frequenting these ships. All right, that's number 2. Now, number 3. Now, this story has to do with Victoria, British Columbia. Even though you're looking at some time-lapse photography of Vancouver, British Columbia, this is just too good to pass up. You'll notice in this shot here, where all the clouds are moving, just behind the clouds is Stanley Park, the Lionsgate Bridge, and you'll see those white sail-looking things on the water over there. That is Canada Place. That is where cruise ships come and go, right in the downtown core of Vancouver. Well, Victoria, the port authority there, they're called the Greater Victoria Harbour Authority, the GVHA, announced today that they are moving forward with the installation of shore-to-ship power at the cruise dock, where they can handle 2 ships at a time, where the ships can shut their engines off when they come into Victoria and just plug in. Great idea, long overdue. I'm stunned as an observer of this industry that around the globe this isn't standard practice already. I can't believe it that so many ports around the world are still antiquated in that ships come in, whether they're container ships or cruise ships, and they just sit there and not plugged into any shore power, and they're just spewing their emissions up into the air. You'd think the environmentalists would really be targeting this area as the #1 area to really go after cruise ships, because this is when, or any ship, because this is when ships are closest to shore, and their pollutants just waft over all kinds of people. But I don't know. I can't figure them out sometimes. Nonetheless, $24 million will be required by Victoria to do this. The problem is that the Port Authority doesn't have $24 million, and it looks to me like they can't just go out and borrow the money themselves. It seems to me that since they're sort of an agency of the government, they actually have to go to governments to get the funding, and they've talked about hitting up cruise lines for funding, although they admit right now is not a good time. Cruise lines are essentially broke. To me, as an outside observer looking in, I would think that this would be federal priority and provincial or state priority around the world. Port of Miami doesn't have it. Fort Lauderdale doesn't have this. Port Canaveral doesn't have this. It blows my mind that the busiest cruise ports in the world don't have shore-to-ship power as a standard issue deal and an absolute requirement for any ship coming in. You must be able to accept shore power. But folks, the lobbyists for the cruise lines are so powerful that they're able to convince or find a way to delay these decisions down the road. They just kick the can, find all kinds of excuses not to do it, and who ends up paying the price? Well, we all do. The pollutants go into the air, and it just doesn't stop. It's very unfortunate. There's a photo coming up here of St. Thomas that I wanted to show you. Classic photo. This is not normally the photo you would normally see on a postcard. You see there's a Royal Caribbean ship there and a Costa ship, both spewing pollutants into the air while they're sitting there for 8 hours. Here's the Carnival ship just smoking away. It's not unusual during the height of cruise season that 3, 4, 5 ships a day are here, and they're just blowing smoke up there. There's no shore-to-ship power. Now, I understand certain small Caribbean islands can't do it. They can't afford it. They haven't got the logistics. I get it. But you know what? Major industrial ports around the world are guilty of this as well. They are not equipped. And with container ships outnumbering cruise ships, I don't know, 100 to 1. It's unbelievable how many there are. You would think that all of the container ports around the world would automatically insist that this is the new normal, give it a 5-year timeline, but it's not the case. In Victoria, they have told people that the Port Authority said, look, as soon as we get this shore-to-ship power, we're in the wintertime, we're going to bring in ships that are sitting in our harbor. We'll bring them in, the container ships, and we'll plug them in. And they can shut off their engines. At least 2 of them can. And in the summertime, it'll be cruise ships. So these docks will be used all the time, and the power will always be flowing to ships to help reduce the emissions. I think it's a wonderful idea. It's a great story. I'd just like to see someone step up and put up the cash. It isn't a lot of money because you can borrow this cash at 1% interest, and the ships who pull the power will pay a premium to get it. That's how you pay for it. It's so simple. Thanks again for following me, supporting me. Hope you enjoyed these 3 stories today. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.